Back on TYT Sports, I wanted to do this clip basically to act as someone telling you to go and read something because it's so fascinating. For football fans out there like myself, the beautiful game comes as easy as turning on a TV for us and going and watching whoever we want to see. In the United States, we get a lot more options now. Premier League is huge. A lot of La Liga to watch, and all over the world, most people get to go and observe the type of football they want. But a fantastically fascinating article was recently put out on Bleacher Report that everyone has to go and see. It's by James Montag, and it's titled "Inside the Secret World of Football in North Korea." It's impossible for me to document this long piece in a video. All I'm doing here is to try and give you kind of a blueprint as to what some of the details were in this from what I took away. I've read it once and I'm going to read it again because I think there's only so much you can kind of pick up first read. I've went back and read some parts again just to kind of get more of an idea, and it's just so fascinating how this country works. So the story itself focuses on Lebanon going to take on North Korea, which is very recent, and they talk about the history of North Korea itself, their nuclear tests, and how before the game against Lebanon there was a nuclear test that happened whilst players are in their hotel room, and I'm sure that is not the best pre-game ritual to be focusing on things whilst a nuclear explosion or a test, whatever it is, goes off and rocks the whole city. So it really is just so a fascinating read. It talks about the history of North Korean football, and I mean, from what we have seen, we've seen minor glimpses of it, like the 2010 World Cup when they almost provided an upset against Brazil in the opening game, to back in their history when they beat Italy, I believe, in 1966, where North Korean players are considered heroes at that performance. And then there's just a lot that goes into maybe the shady goings on of North Korean players moving away and playing and making decent money, but that money being extracted by the North Korean government, who, according to reports, takes somewhat of 90% of someone's living wages to themselves. So, and that's caused some conflict between teams in the past. I think Fiorentina cut ties not long ago with a North Korean footballer because they felt like it was being used as a way to extract funding back, and with the sanctions put on to North Korea, it creates a complicated process. But what fascinated me about this was the lack of infrastructure as to actual competition. Like the author documents how there is no information about leagues. There isn't any leagues as far as he's aware of. The best team is named after a date. I believe it's 4/23 is the name of the team. And there's no like official announcement of games. They just get announced the day before by a little poster, I believe, outside the stadium when people come in. And there's no match sheets handed out. There's no understanding of who's playing what, or who's even playing where the games are held beforehand, or where the training goes on. And this is all despite the fact that North Korea, especially under their government, have kind of put some focus on football because of the economic side of it, and FIFA has tried to make strides to kind of bring them in on this, and they've set up training camps, I believe, in like Switzerland, and tried to kind of develop some talent. And it just is, it's more so fascinating to understand how it's almost kept as this enclosed niche market in North Korea that people are aware of, but not everyone gets to sample it until it's put on front of the stage. I mean, it was only in 2010, I believe, where the first ever game of North Korea playing in a World Cup was shown to fans, and it was a game where they lost 7-0 to Portugal. And also that sparked rumours that players were actually punished when they came back. But the funny thing about this is actually on the youth level, women's football in North Korea is pretty good. Like, I believe, according to their research, they have won 3 AFC Asian Cups, gold medals at 3 Asian Games, and are the current under-17 and under-20 world champions. That is bananas to me, because it's just so, we don't know, it's one of the most enclosed, isolated countries in the world. Apparently there's an enormous amount of poverty and hunger, and it's so fascinating that they're able to develop like talent like that without really understanding. But as for all we know, they did get investment into fair weather pitches and stuff like that, and were able to start developing players. But it's something that's really fascinating. And one of the best parts about this is they talked about how in the 2011 finals in Germany, 5 players in North Korea failed drug tests, and this is one of the best excuses I've ever heard. So anyway, they were talking about why they failed the drug test, and it was because they used a traditional Chinese medicine extracted from a deer's musk gland. The medicine was administered, the delegation said, after several players were hit by lightning. Only in North Korea could you make up some excuse like that and believe it. You know, it's like, oh yeah, they got hit by lightning, so we had to put in this deer musk / steroids. But when you look at, like, because again, I can only kind of paraphrase some of the details in it. I really don't want to take anything away from. We'll leave the link in the description where you can actually, 425 is the name of the team, I just found it, where you can actually look into the details. The team was named after April 25th, where Kim Sung founded his army. So, of course, that's part of it. But it's such a, like, with everything that goes along with North Korea, it's a mystery. And the tale that they're telling in behalf of the author and the Lebanese players who had to travel in, like, they didn't have internet. They had to pay something like $250 to even get a small amount of internet to be able to tell people that they were fine and safe. They weren't allowed to kind of take any pictures or anything else. We know that. And they're basically enclosed in their hotel room before the games. I think some of them were able to play FIFA, which is lucky. But whilst, like, nuclear tests are going off. And it's just that I can't imagine it's a crazy environment. And it's just some of the more personable things that the authors talk about. Like, you cannot go anywhere in the world. Like, as you guys know, I was in Uganda and I've seen countless Barcelona, Manchester United, Real Madrid strips. But apparently, like, there is no football strips whatsoever anywhere in North Korea. Like, they wear some of the local team shirts, but kids out there don't even know who Ronaldo or Messi or anyone else is. They only kind of know the North Korean players that are on their team, so isolated from the world. And it's sad because they're missing out on some of the best football you can imagine. So I don't know what else there is to say other than it's one of the most fascinating reads. Just an brief insight into the world that is the crazy North Korean government in their isolation strategy, and how they still are able, like, the funny thing is, they're still able to qualify for more tournaments in Scotland. Like, come on. Scotland cannot qualify. North Korea, who probably never even has seen a football match outside of their own internal training. Maybe that's what Scotland needs to do. Maybe they just isolate themselves from the world, take a massive chainsaw, just cut out the land away from England, get it away from all that negativity, the fact that we're not as good as our southern big brother who bullies us, and just walk away and be like, right, we're just going to enclose ourselves from the world, and maybe, just maybe, we can qualify for a World Cup. And of course, that's how I'm going to end the clip. Check it out. You really won't be disappointed.